So let's take a look at this. This will be the OBJ file as a mesh. And if I will unhide the first elements, we're going to see that the car and the four wheels will be closed bodies. Now, let's take a look at the workflow regarding this. So for the case study, I will use the same car that was created using Vizcom. So we see the model. This is a 3D model. And in this case, if you want to transfer this towards Fusion, we need to use the OBJ file. But you can also save it as a GLB file and have that process within Blender. So within this video, I'm going to show you that workflow. So let me just create a new Blender file. And I will import over here the GLB. So I will extract the GLB over here. We're going to see that this is currently being exported and it should soon be available for download. And it has already been transferred over here, so we have it downloaded. Within Blender, I'm going to go to File, Import, GLB. Within Downloads, I know that this will be the most recent one, so this will be the one. And I'm going to import it. We're going to see now that regarding the size, this car will only have 2 meters. This is because the default cube over here in Blender has 2 meters, so this will be roughly the same size. If you want to scale it, you can scale the default cube. For example, we see the y-axis. Let's say that this SUV car will be large, so we'll have 5 meters. Afterwards, I can select the model. And I'm going to press S, and I'm going to scale this roughly to the size of this cube. So, as you can see, this will be contained within that 5 meter box. So I'm going to delete that box, and we have the model loaded. If you enable the texture, we're going to see that the texture within the GLB file will be added directly. If I'm going to select the mesh, over here within the material, this will have a custom material. In this case, this will be a principal BSDF material. So let's transfer this within Fusion. I'm going to create over here a new design. And now within Blender, I'm going to select the model of the car. I will go to File, Export, and we need to save this as an OBJ, since this will be the mesh file that Fusion will accept. I'm going to select that. I'm going to go on the desktop. I will create a new folder. In this case, I'm going to name that B. So let me just rename it B, not N. And I will save this as car OBJ. Over here within the include, I will do the selection only. In this case, only the model of the car, not the camera and the light. And we see over here the material, the path mode. This will be set to auto. So if I will go with copy, I will hit export. We're going to have that file saved. So if I will go over here within that B file, we're going to see that we have the OBJ mesh. We have the MTL, so this will be the material library that will control the texture. If I will open this with Notepad, we're going to see that the image used as a texture for the car hasn't been transferred. And now, in order to change that, we need to do some slight adjustments. So I'm going to select the car, I'm going to go to UV editing, and we're going to see that this will be the image, so image 1. This will be the unwrap of the car. You can also enable the texture over here within Blender. So you can go to Image, Save As, and I'm going to save this within the B folder. So this will be A, this will be B. I'm going to save this as an JPEG file. You can also use PNG. I'm going to call this texture. I'm going to hit Save. And now, within the shading, we're going to recreate this material. So this is a principal BSDF material. We see the base color over here, but Vizcom also generated the metallic roughness and the normal map over here. So I'm just going to select the material, this custom material made by Vizcom. I'm going to delete it, and I will create a new material over here. And this new material, I will drag and drop that B texture. So again, I will go over here on the desktop. The folder will be B. This will be the texture. I'm going to drag and drop it, and I will just link it to the base color. And now if I will go back to the layout, and I will have this re-exported as an OBJ file. I will rewrite the original OBJ file using include selection only. I will copy this material and I will hit export. If I will go back to that folder, we're gonna see that if I will open the MTL now, we're gonna have the map added over here. So we see the map, the texture.jpg, which will be this one. And now within Fusion, I can just go to Insert, Mesh. I will select one from my computer, which will be from B, car OBJ. And if I'm going to load this, we're going to have the texture loaded as well. But in this case, we see that this is a different car. So actually, it's not a different car. It's this car, but it has a texture of one of my car from the previous video, which was the Peugeot 3008. So it's quite weird that Fusion decided to add this as a texture, because if I'm gonna go over here within this one, I think this is a problem regarding the texture, since I name it again texture. So let's just have this renamed. Within the UV editing, I will go and save this as texture Vizcom. So let's name it like this. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna go within the material shading. I'm gonna delete that, and I will drag and drop the new one. So texture Vizcom, load that, and go back to the layout, and have this exported again within the same folder. So on my desktop on B, on top of this file, I will also name this car1 so that Fusion will no longer make that overlap. Now within Fusion, insert mesh from my computer car1. We see the folder over here, B, on the desktop. Hit open, and as we can see now, this will load like this. So it's quite weird why Fusion decided to load that different texture. We also see the orientation of the car, so it's not straight directly on the ground floor. If I'm gonna go within the right view, it will be like this. Even though within Blender, we see that this was added over here. So we can adjust that on import. So if I will go over here, insert mesh, select the car, we can flip the direction over here directly. Okay, so this is the better workflow. We just need to swap the Y and Z axis. And now if I will go within the right view, this will be aligned over here, as we can see, within a line. Okay, so we have the model over here, but as we can see, this is a mesh. If I'm gonna click on it, we're gonna see over here. So just move the mouse over. This mesh will not be closed, but we can go within the mesh, select this, and we can have this converted to a mesh. In this case, we see that the mesh has more than 10,000 triangles. Calculation will take a considerable amount of time. You can also see within Blender the total number of faces. So this will be the faces count. In this case, 97k faces. I'm just gonna leave the facet method over here with parametric, and I will hit OK. And Fusion will start process this and convert it within a solid body. So even though it said it will take some time to process, we see that this will be processed in quite fast. So we have already those created. If I'm gonna hide the first one, this will be the left back wheel, the front over here on the left. This will be the right front and the right back wheel over here. And the last one will be the body of the car. If I will hide that, we're gonna see how well those wheels are defined. So this is what I like about Fusion, is that the mesh output, especially for cars, are well defined. Even though the wheel size over here are slightly different, if I will go within the ortho view, we're gonna see that there is some embedded symmetry within this. Really good symmetry. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this kind of content. Starting with this reference, you can go ahead and use it as a guide, as a 3D reference in order to define the shapes. And within freeform, you can also snap to various areas from the surface in order to have this recreated as a CAD model. Because we see currently the mesh over here, the triangulation is not that good. If we want this to be an editable CAD format, we will need to have this recreated. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this kind of content. I will position a similar video over here on the left side, and I will also add a subscribe button to the right. So that's it. Thanks for watching.